I'll be explaining Nightmare Teacher, a South Korean television miniseries, today. Spoilers ahead. Junior at Yosan High School, Jae-soo. In the first scene, he identifies his closest pals to himself while gazing into a mirror. He doesn't forget to say that, among the others, Ki Tae is his best friend. He then appears perplexed when he tries to recall his own name. The action then moves to the school's restroom. Jae-soo is sequestered in a bathroom stall copying the answers to the midterm questions on a piece of paper. His closest friend Ki Tae is pounding on the door outside, pleading for him to leave because his menstruation has already begun. Jae-soo is uneasy in the classroom due to the note tucked away in his sleeves. He intends to use it to rig the midterm exam. Jae-soo is an academically gifted kid who frequently has a good sense of what will be asked on an exam. In response to Ki cries Tae's for assistance, Jae-soo outlines a few inquiries with assurance. Ki Tae records the responses to those queries on his desk after putting his friend's word in it. Mr. Han, their homeroom teacher, shows up right then. He asks them to avoid being the last person on the rank board as he formally starts the midterm. He also forces them to switch seats before the test begins, which moves Ki Tae away from the cheat sheet he had created. As soon as the exam begins, Jae-soo starts using the note as a prop. On the first portion of the exam, Mr. Han reads from a book, which makes it much simpler for him to replicate the answers. All goes according to plan until Jae-soo unintentionally leaves the note on the floor in the teacher's direct line of sight. Ki Tae helps him by asking Mr. Han for permission to use the restroom in order to divert his attention. In a fit of terror, Jae-soo grabs the note and immediately puts it in his mouth. The instructor smirks as he directs his gaze at him, almost as if he is aware of what is happening. Nonetheless, he doesn't expose them for lying. Then Kong Yi-rim, the classroom president, is introduced to us. She leaves something on Mr. Han's desk and enters the classroom. She searches through his possessions after making sure no one is seeing her. She notices a student council notebook in a drawer. It has a list of the names of the pupils in their class, but Jae-soo's is in the column with a question mark. Mr. Han enters abruptly and sees her doing it. She exits the situation by feigning to put something in the drawer. Mr. Han, on the other hand, is not readily persuaded. He is aware that something is strange about the class president. Next, Ki Tae and Jae-soo cross paths on the basketball court. Jae-soo appreciates his friend for rescuing him from failing the test. The men resume their game of basketball until Mr. Han abruptly interrupts them and summons Jae-soo to the counseling room. Jae-soo reluctantly accompanies and sits down. The interview begins with the teacher asking him how his test went. Mr. Han feels that since Jae closest Soo's friend helped him, everything must have gone well when he hesitates to respond. The teacher's remark is obviously sarcastic, which increases Jae's anxiety. As soon as he starts coughing, he vomits up the piece of paper he had been munching on in class. When his anxiety overwhelms him, he says that he didn't cheat, but the teacher's inference is only strengthened by his statement. Mr. Han, though, keeps his composure and presents Jae-soo with an odd fizzy beverage. Jae-soo takes it without giving it any thought. The teacher provides him another piece of paper and instructs him to respond to the questions on it after he has calmed down a bit. If he is successful in producing findings identical to those from the test, his innocence will be established, and no further steps will be necessary. But the principal will be notified if he can't recall the responses. Jae's anxiety causes the paper to become hazy, making it difficult for him to read the questions. Momentarily, the scene is shortened to 1 hour. When Ki Tae arrives, he asks Jae-soo in the library what Mr. Han said. Jae-soo lies and says that he only encouraged him to work harder on his studies. Although Ki Tae is dissatisfied with the response, he chooses not to press Jae-soo to be honest. Jae-soo abruptly goes to the restroom to vomit. The next test is on the following day. Jae-soo remains still as everyone else carries on writing as normal. When the teacher teases him and inquires as to whether he has given up, he learns that the test has already been finished. He looks at the piece of paper containing all the answers, startled. Ki Tae asks his pal how the exam went once it is over. Jae-soo says arrogantly that the test was far too simple to be won. Some of the students, including Yo-rim, the class president, are reviewing the questions. When they make a mistake in the computation, Jae-soo steps in to help. His vision suddenly becomes hazy once more. He loses track of the solutions as his vision returns. He hastily makes an excuse, but Yo-rim is aware of his peculiar actions. Jae-soo visits Mr. Han in the counseling room once more. He is greeted by his teacher, who had anticipated his return. Jae-soo asks him for the soda he was given the day before because it helped him remember things well. He is immediately informed by Mr. Han that the soda will destroy his memory. He continues by saying that the knowledge in the soda takes the place of the undesirable and fruitless memories that were previously stored in his brain. This means that over time, he can lose memories that might be meaningful to him. Jae-soo, however, doesn't give a damn about the repercussions as long as he gets high grades. Mr. Han asks him whether he is certain about the procedure before forcing him to sign a document with his blood. His name appears on the paper automatically due to the blood. Then, he is seen stepping into a mirror, showing that Mr. Han has managed to entice him into his evil world. Jae-soo is seen the following day in front of an outdated vending machine in the school. He tries to bring out the one memory soda it possesses, but the machine is inoperable. Before leaving with the drink, he gives it a couple shakes to get it to function. We see that the machine has been unplugged the entire time. He's been told by the teacher to limit his soda consumption to one per day. Jae-soo surprises everyone by finishing the following test in the first few minutes. Yo-rim finds it weird that so many pupils are beginning to take lessons from him because she has always been the first in class. The next montage shows Jae-soo popping open many Pepsi cans and downing them. He regularly visits the library to browse the selection. He doesn't have to work very hard to earn good scores because he can memorize anything with only a quick glance. He passes every test the remainder of the week and begins tutoring the top pupils at the school. One day, Ki-tae comes up to him and begs for hearts so they can continue playing a game they commonly play together. Jae-soo, however, who has completely forgotten about the game, stares at him in shock. He realizes that the Coke was the cause of his memory loss, but he doesn't worry about it because he can always pick up the game again. The following time he gets the Coke, he discovers that his finger has writing on it. He challenged himself to only purchase one can every day. Jae-soo is unsure if he has consumed all of the soda for the day because he is unable to recall the reasoning behind the regulation. He gradually begins to forget the names of his classmates. He constantly feels as like he is in the wrong place when he is in his class. Still, he persuades himself that academic success is more crucial. One day, he discovers notes in his pocket requesting that the contract be terminated after the exam. Also, one of the letters warns him not to trust Mr. Han since he is a con man. When Jae-soo searches for more notes, he discovers that his arm is stuffed with inscriptions that help him remember the necessities for survival. He returns to Mr. Han to speak with him but finds that he is not willing to assist. Instead, he reassures Jae-soo that the knowledge he is getting in exchange for his fading memories makes them less significant. During break, Ki-tae and Jae-soo are chatting. Ki-tae has been aware of Jae-soo's actions during the past few days. He calls him out on it and believes that he is using illegal drugs to make himself smarter. One of the letters further cautions him not to believe Mr. Han since he is a con artist. Jae-soo finds that his arm is covered in inscriptions that help him recall the things he needs to survive when he goes looking for more notes. When he goes back to see Mr. Han, he discovers that he is not eager to help. Instead, he reassures Jae-soo that the knowledge he is gaining in exchange for his fading memories makes those memories less important. Ki-tae and Jae-soo are conversing during the break. Jae-soo's recent behavior was something Ki-tae was aware of. He calls him out on it and thinks that he is abusing pharmaceuticals to bolster his intelligence. Those who disappear are forgotten by everyone, which is why they are never reported. Despite his real concern for his friend, Ki-tae believes she is bluffing. Jae-soo purchases the Coke for the second time that day at the vending machine as they follow him there. The group is taken aback because they were unaware of the equipment prior to today. A can spills out of Jae-soo's as he walks away. His backpack is full of Coke cans that he consumed in a single day as he knelt down to pick it up. He begins to lose his memory more quickly due to the overdose. He won't even be able to recall his name in a few hours. Mr. Han, however, kindly reminds him that the contract forbids it. He is instructed to down another can of soda instead, which will make him completely forget everything. In response, Jae-soo declares that he wishes to recall the emotions he had for the individuals he loved. Mr. Han grinned and requested that he hold off a little longer. He will eventually lose interest in trying to recover his memory and stop feeling frantic. The initial scene is then repeated, showing Jae-soo practicing his memorization of his friends' names in front of the mirror. He abruptly reverts to his regular self and encounters Ki Tae at the basketball court. Before the midterms, the two would play together. They finally sat down to discuss after some time. Jae-soo denies Ki's suggestion that they go to the movies that night, citing his commitments. He bids his one and only friend farewell before going to meet Mr. Han. It comes out that he was only given access to his memories for an hour to allow him to properly say goodbye to his companion. Mr. Han introduces Jae-soo into his universe in the final scene, eliminating him from existence forever. Thank you.